Jennifer, welcome to BetMGM tonight. Straight away from me, Brock Purdy might be one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks in gaming circles. Right now in fantasy football, he's barely a quarterback one in 12-team formats and has numerous soft markets among season-long betting props. Truthfully, this fellow sports betting donator has a ticket out on him to lead the NFL in passing yards at plus 950. Am I wrong in that assessment, or am I just slightly crazy? Give us your assessment overall of Brock Purdy and his potential this year.
I mean, as long as everybody stays healthy on the 49ers offense, Brock Purdy has the chance to be a great producer for your fantasy team. He's got great weapons, and Christian McCaffrey, as long as he stays healthy, Ricky Pearsall should have a much better season in his second year. Jauan Jennings was also pretty reliable last year. The few things that are uncertain, obviously, is Brandon Aiyuk and when he's going to come back, and Demarcus Robinson, will he be suspended for 3 games? So those are the factors that we don't know about yet. But honestly, with Kyle Shanahan as the offensive coordinator, head coach, there's no reason to not take Brock Purdy at some point.
Yeah, Jennifer, I'm a big Christian McCaffrey fan. I probably follow along his journey too much on Instagram. He's having a baby, which is awesome. And also just because I want to know if he's going to be healthy. Only 4 games last year, but when he was out there, Kyle Shanahan was still giving him the ball. 50 carries, 202 yards. They have Isaac Guerendo. How healthy do you think he is? Can we expect him to play at least 14 to 15 games? And what do you think the workload will be like? Do you think maybe it's more carries for Guerendo? Maybe they use him more as a slot receiver? How do you think they use Christian McCaffrey coming off a pretty injury-filled season?
Yeah, I mean, as long as he stays healthy, and what he's looked like so far in minicamp and OTAs, he looks very fast. He looks very bouncy, as John Lynch says. Healthy. He says he feels great. No injury issues at all. And actually it took him a little while to get go last year when he had that knee injury in the Buffalo game. Before that, I actually was like, oh, this is him. He's back. Now, when he came to the 49ers in 2023, kind of working his way in, he started in 22, 23. He really kind of hit the ground running in training camp and minicamp, did every percent. He's not quite doing that this year, I think, because he knows the offense so much better. So he's taking a little off, but we have seen him take a couple reps full speed, and he looks really fast. He looks like Christian McCaffrey of 2023.
I saw the ESPN projections, the Mike Clay projections had the Niners defense ranked 32nd. I'm actually kind of high on them this year just because of the return of Robert Saleh. A little worried about the secondary. Do you think this defense could be top 15, good enough at least to compete for a Super Bowl?
I would think so. I mean, they've still got players like Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Deommodore Lenoir, who got a huge contract. They've got players at every level. It's just whether the opposite players are going to play well as along with them. So Bryce Huff, they brought in as a pass rusher to play opposite of Nick Bosa. So if he can produce, that obviously seals off the other edge. They've got some guys in the center, but really they're banking on these young guys that they drafted. Their first 5 picks of the draft were defensive players. So if they can actually produce, then they'll have a pretty good defense. So it's whether they can get up to speed. Can they cover? Who's going to play next to Fred Warner? There are a lot of questions, but they do have players that can step up. So it's whether they can actually fit the bill or not. And we'll see once training camp starts, because they looked good during minicamp, but obviously no pads, no hitting. So there's a lot of work still to be done for those young guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That I think is the most glaring question mark right now for San Francisco is how competitive that defense is going to be under Saleh and his return to the Bay Area. We're talking to Jennifer Lee Chan from NBC Sports Bay Area, where she covers the Gold Panthers. She's a podcast co-host as well on 49ers Talk. Follow her on X, would you kindly, at Jennifer Lee Chan. Again, on X, at Jennifer Lee Chan. Jennifer, what's the latest on Brandon Aiyuk's recovery? And on a related note, who do you believe brings more boom to fantasy players this season, Jauan Jennings or Ricky Pearsall?
Well, that's a toss-up on Jauan Jennings or Ricky Pearsall. Obviously, Jauan Jennings had a great season last year, just short of 1,000 yards. He's going to really be that wide receiver one. Ricky Pearsall, as much as everybody would like him to have a much better season, I do think he will, but he missed minicamp and OTAs with a hamstring injury. So he's got to stay healthy, get those reps in during training camp, but that's going to make a big difference for him once the season starts. So if he stays healthy during training camp, I can see him projecting to be a really solid contributor in the season, but he's got to stay healthy. As far as Brandon Aiyuk goes, yes, he should be back. I would think maybe a few weeks in the season. I think he's going to start the season on PUP, maybe 4 weeks in, then they'll bring him back. He didn't injure himself until about week 6. And usually guys that need to have that explosiveness that have had an ACL injury, and it's not just ACL, it's MCL as well. There's some other damage in there. So for him to be back fully, I don't think it happens till maybe a few weeks into the season, maybe even mid-season. So he's maybe a guy that you stash on your fantasy team a little bit later. Another guy who looked really good with Brock Purdy was Demarcus Robinson. He looked like he was right on the same page very quickly. It just, again, is he going to be suspended? He pleaded no contest just on Tuesday. Probably will be on probation for 3 years is what they're saying. He's already been kind of serving the sentence that he was projected to have. But he looked really good. It's just whether or not the league decides to suspend him or not. And then they could wait until right before week 1 to say, hey, 3 games or 2. So another guy who you maybe stash on your fantasy team for a little bit later.
Yeah, no question about it. And if Robinson is indeed out and the Aiyuk timetable expands or extends, that's even more targets, more snaps for Ricky Pearsall, and of course, Jauan Jennings as well. Whether hanging with Taylor Swift, stoking the flames of his rivalry with The Miz, or making plans for his tight end university, it's been quite the offseason for George Kittle. Are you expecting another stellar season from last year's fantasy TE1?
Absolutely. I mean, he says this year during the offseason, I spoke to him at Tight Ends University. He says he feels better this year than he has in a couple years, because just think, the last 3 years before this one, playing deep into the postseason, Super Bowl appearances. So he was really beat up. So this extra off time, they were off since the end of January. He's really gotten the ability to heal, and he feels much better. I watched him at training camp, or not training camp, mini camp, and he looks great. He feels healthy. And he really thinks that this year, the 49ers are set for a lot of success. He said he wants to see them run the heck out of outside zone and stay healthy. But I know for a fact that he says he feels much better than he has since 2020.
Wow, big news there. It could be an explosive, another pace-setting season for Kittles and Bits, to say the least. Jennifer, we'll get you out of here on this. The over-under right now at BetMGM is 10.5 wins, a high total for the Niners. Where do you stand? Over or under 10.5 wins for San Francisco?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's right about where I think they would be, in between 10 and 11 wins, because of this. The strength of their schedule is pretty weak. They've got that last place schedule, when after the last 3 years, they've had the top place schedule, being the leaders of the NFC. So they really do have a chance. It really is, like you said, about whether everybody stays healthy or not. And the key is really Christian McCaffrey. Can he stay healthy? Because he's such a huge part of that offense. Everybody was complaining about the offensive line last year. It's the same guys that were out there when Christian McCaffrey won Offensive Player of the Year. The difference is Christian McCaffrey. So if he can stay healthy, I think the 49ers have a huge chance of being very successful in 2025.
Yeah, a lot of fantasy managers already sinking a late first-round pick in Christian McCaffrey, or sacrificing chicken wings to the fantasy gods, praying that McCaffrey stays healthy, unlike the debacle that we had last season with a bilateral Achilles tendonitis that he had to deal with. Outstanding insights from Jennifer Lee Chan from NBC Sports Bay Area. Check out her podcast, 49ers Talk with Matt Mayako. Also, check her out on X, at Jennifer Lee Chan. Just tremendous information on an organization looking to rebound. Jennifer, we appreciate the time. We'll chat soon.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
All right, there she goes. Jennifer Lee Chan, tremendous stuff. She seems high on Christian McCaffrey based on the observations that she has absorbed, throughout the entire summer, looking bouncy, according to the coaching staff. I'm fully invested. I think he has a pretty good shot at winning Offensive Player of the Year. Am I nuts to think that, Horvat?
You are not. I have alternate win totals on the Niners. I have Niners Super Bowl futures. Last year, I was the guy that said this team's not going to make the playoffs. A couple years ago, I didn't know that I believed in Brock Purdy. I was just scorned from his days at Iowa State when I loved him in the beginning. Then at the end, he kind of fell apart. But no, man, like with McCaffrey, we did this when he was in Carolina, right? Every other year, I felt like I would have buddies, can't take McCaffrey, he's never healthy. The next year, he usually bounces back. I think he's going to stay healthy for at least 14 to 15 games this season. I really do. And I think he's going to have a monster year.